And greetings, dear friends, near and far. I'm so glad to see you again. We've been apart for a number of weeks, but we're back together again, and I hope your summer has been a happy one and a healthy one, and I hope that you and all of your families are well. Certainly we've been missing each other. We haven't been able to meet in the ways that we're used to meeting in, but we look forward to the day when we can, before long, we hope, come together face to face. Already now sometimes we have such chances, but the world is in a condition few of us have experienced, none of us really. And we're all finding our way through this together. And we will find our way, and what will enable us to advance forward is the friendship between us. The way that we stay connected and carry each other, and I've felt that very much over these last months. And I do feel that this gathering that we have every week is an important way that we can unite our spirits. So I welcome you in this spirit. We're going to renew our study of the sayings contained in the volume Nature Meditations, sayings which were collected 100 years ago and which remain as vitally relevant today as ever before. And before we resume our pursuit of the nuances of life on earth as lit up by a rapturous spirit of remembrance, before we look into the details of storm and stream and earthworm and falling leaf, perhaps in these next minutes we could step back and take up a philosophical question. What philosophy of nature recommends itself to us, and specifically what philosophy of matter? Because nature implies matter. And matter is a subject that we often take for granted, as if we really know what it is. And when we don't take it for granted, perhaps we impose judgments on it, judgments that we might not very often reconsider. So this is an opportunity to reflect on the nature of material life. And we can begin with some words of Hazrat Inayat Khan, found in the volume on mental purification. Everything that I'll say today consists of a commentary on these words. Murshid says, many people think that the physical has little to do with the spiritual. Why not, they ask, cast aside the idea of the physical in order to be entirely spiritual? If without the physical aspect of our being, the purpose of life could be accomplished, the soul would not have taken a physical body, and the spirit would not have produced the physical world. The conception that the physical body is made of sin and that this is the lowest aspect of being will very often prove to be a mistake. For it is through this physical body that the highest and the greatest purpose of life is to be achieved. A person only calls it his physical body in ignorance. Once the knowledge has come to him, he begins to look upon it as the sacred temple of God. A very powerful statement. And here, speaking of material existence and the body, Murshid refers to a conception that exists among us. He says it's the conception that the body is made of sin and that it is the lowest aspect of being. Does this sound familiar? Is that a conception that lives somewhere in your mind? If it does, I wonder if you have a notion as to where you got the idea. You might have got it from any number of places. One finds it in certain interpretations of religious texts. In the Western Christian tradition, there are places in the Gospels, in the letters of St. Paul the Apostle, where the flesh is spoken of and invoked in contrast to spirit. As in Galatians, where Paul says the flesh desires what is contrary to the spirit, and the spirit what is contrary to the flesh, and they are in conflict with each other. One might draw from a statement of this kind the conclusion that there's something innately wrong about the body. One need not interpret the verse in this way, but all too often this is how statements of this kind have been interpreted, that the body stands before the spirit as an obstacle to be overcome. But perhaps a more pervasive source of our misgivings about matter and the body is the vastly influential legacy of the great Imam-e-Ilahi, Plato, especially as mediated by the Neoplatonic tradition, and particularly by the founder of Neoplatonism, the great Plotinus. Plotinus was a brilliant sage, and we are all in his debt. His penetrating insights have inspired generations of mystics down the ages, and his legacy is foundational to philosophy in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In the Islamic world, a summary of his Enneads was translated into Arabic under the title of the Theology of Aristotle, whose name was a better known name, and exerted vast influence, particularly in the Sufi world. The philosophical elaboration of Sufism historically is significantly founded upon Neoplatonism. And there's so much in the philosophy of Plotinus to admire when he speaks of the One as the good, as the beautiful, and speaks of the emanation of the One, how what we call creation is the One emanating, sending out its life as the sun sends out its rays. how the intelligence derives from the one and the soul derives from intelligence. These are fundamental conceptions that underlie the philosophical articulation of mystical thought among all of the Abrahamic religions.